An all-woman punk rock band touring the country in their van are abducted by a tribe of barbaric people who reside in the middle of a recycling center. Each of the women gets an arm removed to accommodate a weaponized limb which they are to use in a battle for survival in an arena to satiate the bloodthirsty gods the tribe worships. Loud music blasts in a biker bar as the four-woman punk rock band MS-45 light up the stage with an electrifying performance. The people dance in a drunken daze as Amy sings and dances, luring the audience into joining her. The guitarist and Amy's older sister, Emma, shreds her guitar as Cassie, the drummer, and Jill groove to the music. Among the crowd, a mysterious man watches them from the back of the bar with great interest, slowly sipping his beer. In the other corner, three bikers playing pool, Earl, Dudley, and Lou, sinisterly look over at the women. Meanwhile, Amy notices a handsome man eyeing her sister Emma, who also reciprocates the attention. Seeing this, Amy dances sensually, standing in front of Emma and successfully pulling away the man's attention, to her sister's annoyance. Then, Earl jumps up on the platform with the ladies. His actions make the women uncomfortable, but they continue performing. When the man grabs Amy's chest, she retaliates by elbowing his face with a resounding crack. Amy follows it with a quick whip of her microphone, hitting Earl's face while she continues singing. Seeing their friend getting beaten up by a woman, Lou and Dudley race over to the stage to back him up. Earl tries to get up but falls again when Emma trips him. Enraged, Earl grabs Amy's leg, pulling her off the platform, causing her to scream angrily. On the other end of the stage, Lou throws a punch at Emma, who blocks it with her guitar. Cassie sees Dudley eyeing her girlfriend, Jill. Protecting her lover, she body slams him and beats him up. Meanwhile, Lou grabs Emma, throws her to the ground, then strangles her. Seeing her sister in danger, Amy kicks her assailant away. The singer takes the mic's cord and uses it to choke the man. Lou escapes Amy's clutches and punches her face, making her spit out blood. Emma jumps in and gives Lou a hard punch, throwing him off. Impressed by her fighting moves, the mysterious man becomes enamored with Emma. Chaos reigns over the whole bar when all the other men in the establishment join the fight. The bar owner fires a warning gunshot, causing everyone to stop. Completely oblivious and still in a rage, Cassie punches a biker while screaming about never laying a hand on a pregnant woman. Her statement surprises her bandmate, and Amy embraces Jill happily while Emma grimaces. After the fiasco, the women cheerfully sell their merchandise from the back of their van while discussing Jill's pregnancy. However, Emma expresses concern about their van's future, but Jill assures her they'll be fine. Later, a car arrives, and the mysterious man gets out, asking if there's still merchandise to buy. He admires their potential and calls Emma an axe master, who turns away to grab him a t-shirt. As the couple leaves and Amy dashes away to the handsome man she was eyeing at the concert, Emma is left alone with her admirer. The man comments about how the lead singer in any band always gets the man, trying to create a rift between the two sisters. He thinks Emma should be the one getting the attention, especially with how she wields her hand like an axe. Then, he asks where they plan to go next. Emma casually replies with the place's name, and the man's eyes widen with excitement. His actions go unnoticed by the guitarist, who tells him that the band has to get their name out into the world. The man smiles with a knowing look, telling her that in the future, her name will be chanted by the crowd. Then he walks away. Later, the band hits the road with Emma behind the wheel. Sitting beside her is a smiling Amy, while the couple is in the back seat. Amy notices the grim look on her older sister's face and asks if she's okay. However, this leads to an argument between the siblings. Angered, Emma points out that Amy's only concern is hooking up with guys and not caring about their careers. The argument continues until Jill and Cassie have had enough, screaming at the siblings to stop. Suddenly, the mysterious man drives up beside them, laughing hysterically. He bumps into their van on purpose, almost causing them to crash. Fortunately, Emma manages to evade an oncoming truck. However, their van's tire popped, so the women get out to check. Cassie and Emma venture down the road to see what had caused it, and they bring back a spiked contraption meant to pop tires. When they see a car driving towards them, the women panic, thinking that the crazed man has returned. But when the flashes of red and blue lights emit from the vehicle, they realize it's the police. Later, Daniel, the tow truck driver, mounts the women's van onto his truck. The sheriff reassures the women that they will catch the perpetrator as soon as possible. The others get in the sheriff's car, while Emma rides Daniel's truck. Tired, the women sit quietly as they're taken to a recycling center, passing by mountains of abandoned cars and piles of scrap metal. The sheriff leaves them with Daniel, who will be fixing their vehicle. However, Jill and Amy are uncomfortable with the situation, but the sheriff promises them that Daniel is trustworthy. Afterward, the older man leads the women to a waiting room. There, Emma receives a phone call from her boyfriend Tim, She chooses to take the call outside, not noticing the clicking sound the door makes when she closes it. She wanders off as she tries to get better reception and tells Tim they're at a recycling center. She then spots a suspicious-looking car with a gas tank connected to a tube inside the vehicle. Back in the waiting area, the room starts to fill with thick white smoke. Realizing it's car exhaust, they hurriedly open the door, only to find it locked. Desperate, Cassie forcefully kicks the door's handle, to no avail. Jill faints from the noxious gas, while Amy calls out for her sister. Meanwhile, Emma reaches the suspicious-looking car, when suddenly, a woman trapped inside the vehicle begs her for help. She immediately tries to open the car, but Daniel appears, asking her what she's doing. The older man tries to corner her, but Emma splashes his eyes with motor oil before hacking him with a large knife. Despite the panic and fear, Emma quickly runs back to her bandmates. The mysterious man captures her and covers her nose and mouth with cloth doused with a substance that knocks her out. Disoriented, Amy slowly opens her eyes to see her sister and friends lying on beds around her. She witnesses a stranger cut off Cassie's hand. Horrified, Amy tries to get up. However, a woman catches her and puts her back to sleep. Sometime later, the singer wakes up in complete panic as she feels the cold sensation of a chain collar around her neck. Frightened, Amy whimpers when she sees that her right hand has been cut off, exposing the bones in her arm. She pulls at her chain, only to find a scary-looking man with one white eye holding the other end. He smirks, pulls her chain, and forces her to enter a dark arena where he removes her collar and puts a modified knife over her right limb. Amy sees her sister and friends appear from the other gates. They run toward each other and notice in absolute horror that all of their right arms have been modified to fit weapons. Suddenly, a bright light shines upon them, and a loud cheer erupts from the crowd surrounding them. On a higher platform, a man called the Emperor sits on a throne, welcoming them to the gridiron arena. He speaks about spilling blood into the dirt to give life and appease the gods. As his speech ends, a gate opens, and a group of people enters the arena wielding weapons. Amy interrupts the ceremony, telling them they are unwilling to fight, to the crowd's displeasure. Cassie interjects that they should at least exclude Jill, who is pregnant. However, the Emperor brings forth a jar containing Jill's unborn child, implying that he had the child removed. Jill cries in grief while Cassie seethes with rage, rushing toward the Emperor, but Amy stops her. As the gun fires, the battle commences, and the women try to survive the stranger's attack. Amy draws first blood, which makes the crowd roar in excitement and brings a smile to the Emperor's face. As the fight continues, Jill gets stabbed multiple times in her chest. Emma comes to her rescue. However, the bassist has sustained too many injuries. Cassie smashes her opponent's head and bolts over to her dying lover, begging Jill to hold on. Taking her last breath, Jill succumbs to her death, and Cassie screams in anguish. As the battle ends, the Emperor has his men shoot the women with tranquilizer darts, incapacitating them. Later, Emma has a dream where she sees Amy making love to Tim. She wakes up in a cozy room where a woman with a metal leg, Lee, carries a food tray. Lee encourages her to eat her food. Suddenly, the crazed man, who turns out to be the Emperor's son, Sam, comes in and orders Lee to leave. Angered by her current situation, Emma throws her porridge at him. Elsewhere, Amy wakes up to Cassie's crying. The singer tries to comfort her friend, but Cassie doesn't want to hear it, instead choosing to grieve in pain for losing her lover. Suddenly, the scary-looking man, Driller, appears and takes Amy and Cassie with him. Meanwhile, Sam tells the guitarist that because of him, Emma is receiving special treatment, so she should be grateful. Then, they hear a knock on the door. Annoyed, Sam opens the door to see Driller with the other women. He's there to take Emma to the arena for training. Amy quietly observes the room, her eyes gleaming with jealousy. Later, Driller takes the women to the arena to train them with fighting techniques and body strengthening. After training, Sam presents Emma with her guitar. Emma smiles but is reminded of the cold truth when she raises her missing right hand. Sam tells Emma not to worry because he'll be there to strum the strings and they can play the instrument together. As the guitar's sound carries over to Amy's room, she glances over at the music's direction with an envious look. At the bar, Tim searches for the women, asking the bar owner where the nearest recycling center is. The older man gives him directions, but warns him not to go there. Against the man's advice, Tim drives toward the recycling center. As the days go by, the women are trained every day under harsh conditions, with Emma clearly provided with better amenities, a room of her own, a servant, and her guitar. During Sam's visit, he brings her an upgraded axe weapon that Emma excitedly puts on. Sam voices his plan to usurp his father and offers Emma to be his queen. He then shows her how the new weapon can shoot out nails. The women are ushered to the arena for another tournament the next day. Amy notices Emma's new weapon and tries to warn her of Sam's intention. However, Emma tells her sister that she can defend herself just fine. As the door opens, 3 men from the bar ride in on their motorcycles. They bring out their weapons, and the fight begins. During the fight, Amy suffers a cut on her abdomen and is then choked by Earl with a metal chain, while Cassie keeps on getting hit by Dudley's whip. In contrast, Emma blocks almost every attack from Lou and shoots him with her new weapon. Then, she flips him over before she throws his own axe into his back. Emma rescues Amy and is about to finish Earl off, but Amy stops her, declaring that he's hers to deal with. Amy pushes his face to the spinning wheel of his fallen bike, brutally ending his life. Cassie manages to get out of Dudley's hold, trips him over, and hits him with her sledgehammer. The crowd cheers their victory as the show ends with great splendor. Outside the recycling center gate, Tim gets out of the car just as Sam arrives. As they talk, Sam realizes that Tim is Emma's boyfriend, and a jealous look flashes on his face. He immediately covers it up by allowing Tim to enter the facility and offers to help him search for his missing girlfriend. Meanwhile, Amy loiters at the arena after failing to seduce Driller. She's caught off guard by Sam, who appears suddenly before her. He saunters towards her carrying a large box containing a chainsaw, which she immediately tries to grab. However, Sam closes it and tells her that in order to keep it, she must fight him first. Eager, Amy agrees to his proposal and happily puts the chainsaw on her right arm. He tells her he'll be right back, so she practices with her new weapon. After a few minutes, a man with the same black shirt Sam was wearing and a mask over his face attacks Amy. She easily defeats him with her chainsaw and happily snatches the set of keys on the fallen man's waist. Suddenly, Emma comes running toward them, crying and falling to her knees. She pulls off the mask, revealing Tim's lifeless face. Despite Amy apologetically explaining that she didn't know it was Tim, Emma bitterly proclaims that her sister is now her enemy. A few days later, the Emperor hosts a dinner celebration showing the women the capabilities of their next opponents, who showcase their skills. Ridden with guilt, Amy steals glances at Emma, who is ignoring her. In the middle of their dinner, Cassie suddenly attacks the Emperor, stabbing his cheek with a fork. Her actions anger the Emperor, who orders his men to subdue Cassie and send the sisters away. Worried about Cassie, Amy escapes using the keys that she had stolen. Later, she finds Cassie but is unable to do anything but watch as the men burn her friend alive. With the third warrior's death, the Emperor, Doctor, and Sam are in a great dilemma as they can't move forward, since tradition demands that 3 warriors are needed for the ceremony. Driller offers himself to return to the arena, replacing Cassie. The Emperor is delighted with his decision, much to Sam's dismay. As the final battle is about to start, the women gear up and enter the arena with Driller. The Emperor makes his speech, while Amy apologizes to Emma and tells her that she loves her. Their opponents enter the arena, and the Emperor screams for them to commence the battle. Amy goes against the man with the flamethrower and backs off from the flames, slowly being cornered. She attacks and successfully cuts off the tip of the weapon, eventually throwing the man off and defeating him. Emma is equally matched with her opponent, who uses a dart gun. However, she is much better at wielding her weapon, as she uses the nail gun to end the man's life. In contrast, Driller is defeated and accidentally falls back onto a protruding metal pipe after being kicked by the opponent. Distressed, Amy sees his defeat and attacks his foe. As the 2 sisters win, the masses rejoice. However, the Emperor has other plans, which is forcing the siblings to slaughter each other. Amy shouts in outrage at the Emperor's ridiculous order. Yet, Emma attacks her sister, which confuses Amy, who refuses to fight even though her older sister encourages her to do so. Whimpering, Emma commands Amy to kneel as she runs towards her sibling, screaming. To the crowd's surprise, Emma jumps on Amy's shoulder and launches herself into the air. She reaches the Emperor's leg, pulling him down into the arena. Amy immediately ends the Emperor's life by slicing his head off. Delirious, she shows his head to the crowd, but the joy ceases instantly when the sheriff shoots at her head. Emma chops off the shooter's hand and kills the other guards in a fury. Sam tries to calm Emma down, who raises her axe as he screams in fear. Many days later, a new ruler has risen, and Emma now sits on the Emperor's throne. She announces the battle between Sam and the sheriff, as loud cheers resound in the arena. With this, the movie ends here. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.